right. I guess we're live. What I was going to go over with y'all tonight, I've had a lot of questions about this from a lot of different people. So I thought I'd go ahead and answer this live, and it will be saved so you can see it later on. Here's the thing. Let me see if I can get the enable live chat. We'll do that in case anybody wants to check it out. We can do that. Here's the thing. A lot of you may or may not know me. If you're in the class, this is done mostly for my class online. You know how I started. For those of you that just might happen upon this video, I'm going to just give you a little overview. I've been selling on Etsy now almost 7 years. When I started, there was no people to teach you how to do it. You were just kind of on your own. You didn't have any clue what the heck was going on as far as how that works. So I was just out here learning all on my own. I started out by doing a lot of live in-person shows in my local area, and then had a local store, and then it kind of developed into, why don't you start an Etsy store? So people ask me all the time, since I've been doing it a while, how did you know if that's what you wanted to do? Was it the right thing for you? The answer is, I had no clue when I started, but it didn't take long to learn. So if you're thinking about starting an Etsy shop, there's a few things that I would suggest that you think about. Have you started anywhere selling at local sales? First, you've got to have a product. And my recommendation is to find you a good product that is something you actually enjoy making. If you don't enjoy making it and you just are doing it for the heck of doing it, or just for extra cash, but if it's not something you like to do, then it's going to seem like a huge job, and you're going to start hating it. So what I recommend first is find a product that you like and start by doing that. If it's something that you really enjoy making as a crafter, then you're going to want to put forth a little more effort in it. It's not going to feel so much like a job. It's going to be something you enjoy. If you are into art and you like art and painting, or if you like to make jewelry, or if you're into doing things with clay, whatever craft it is you like to do, first you need to know, if it's something you enjoy. Then you want to make sure that you can make it the best that you possibly can. Is this something that you're really good at making? I used to have people come in my store all the time, and they'd come in and say, hey, I want to know, can I sell my items at your store? And I'd say, okay, bring me a product and let me look at what it is you're wanting to sell. Now, most of the time, they would be people that had been selling for a while, doing local events, and they were really good at what they were making, or they would have really good products. But sometimes not so much. Sometimes they had never even tried to sell it out, at local events or at the little church craft fair or anything, and their stuff really wasn't that good. And I had to look at them and say, look, you can't bring it in my store. It's not going to sell. So I would just honestly have to tell them no. And I didn't like to have to do that, but I would always give them advice on what to do so they could come back to me. If you're going to make soap, you need to learn how to do it and be the best soap maker you can be. Once you do that, then it's time to wonder and think about, should I open an Etsy shop? My recommendation is always to go out and do some local church craft fairs or some local, craft fairs somewhere, and see how it goes. See how your product goes locally first. You don't want to just jump in board and you've not tried it out anywhere and start selling on Etsy. Um, so that's the first recommendation. Make sure that you become an expert on the product you want to sell. And I have a video that's on how to pick your product. First, if you're even thinking, some people go about this and they want to start an Etsy shop as a way to make extra money because they lost their job or whatever reason, and they're out, they're trying to make a living. Excuse me, I gotta get something to drink. Get a little hoarse. So, your motivation there is one thing you have to look at. Are you doing this to make a living with it, or are you doing it because you just like to craft and you want a place to sell your stuff so you don't end up with a whole huge craft room like this full of things? So, you get your motivation first as to what you want to do, and you decide, is this going to be a part-time thing? I just want to make a little extra money, or am I want to do it full-time and make a living on it? If you lost your job and you're trying to find something you can do so that you can make a decent income or not, those are all factors on what you're going to do, and is selling online a good thing for you? Is it a good option? Once you get that product and you've tried it out at local things and you're going, okay, somebody has suggested I should sell this on my on a website, or I should sell this on my Facebook page or on Etsy. If you're brand new, never heard of Etsy, and somebody just mentioned it to you, Etsy is a shop, a platform for handmade items. It's for crafters and artists and mostly handmade things. Amazon also has a handmade site, but you have to be approved to sell on it. And then they have the regular handmade. Now, if you're doing vinyl items, monogramming, there's so many different things that you can do and you can sell on Etsy. T-shirts and things, a lot of people are selling T-shirts now. They sell like crazy. I think on Amazon they don't even go under the handmade category anymore. If they're using a fulfiller, a lot of people design them, send them to a fulfiller. Somebody prints them, fixes them, and ships them for them. So that's a little different type of business. It's something that sells well. Then you have your custom jewelry makers, and people that do stamp jewelry like I do, or beaded jewelry, that kind of thing. Your soap makers, let's see, lotions, candles. There's just vintage sellers where you have antiques and vintage items. All of these are things you can sell on Etsy. But when you start out, once you get that product and you say, okay, I'm good at this, I'm good at making it, or I'm good at finding things, and I'm going to sell it, then you've got to think about, do you want to make it a full-time income thing or not? So you kind of know where you're starting in. Don't go online and start your Etsy shop thinking like a lot of sellers do, and they're thinking, okay, I'm going to throw 4 or 5 items up and I'm going to just see how it goes. That doesn't work. It doesn't matter if you want to do part-time or full-time. You can't just throw up any few things, sit back and go, okay, where's the money? It doesn't happen that way. You have to put forth effort in it. There is a way to do it. There's a trick to it. There's a little bit of a trick to getting your items seen. You have to learn SEO. For those of you that don't know what SEO is, because you're like me, when I first started out, never heard of it. There was nobody to teach you that. There was no E-Ring. There was no Marmalade. There was no Google search stuff. You never heard of it. Unless you have some marketing experience, you may not know that SEO is search engine optimization. I have another whole video I can link for you. It's on my channel for that explains what it is. It is not just the words that are put in there. If you have good SEO, that means you have achieved it. You have optimized your shop. So there's that to learn. You have to learn about packaging. How am I going to package my things and ship my things? So if you're going to sell wreaths, you got to know, how much it weighs, what size package I'm going to have, how much does it actually cost me to ship a wreath from here to California, from North Carolina. You have to look into all of that so you know how much you're going to charge. You gotta know how much to charge for shipping, um, and you gotta know how are you gonna be able to package that item. You got to factor in supplies. You need to get a business license so that you can get things that wholesale. If you got that business license and you have that tax ID number, then you can order supplies wholesale and save yourself a ton of money. Whereas if you're just going to buy stuff local at Michael's and not finding the best suppliers, your supply costs could cost you a fortune and you not make as much money as you would. So you have to learn all of that so that you can price your items correctly. Um, there's just so many different things like that you have to learn, other than just throwing a few crafts up on Etsy. Uh, Once you figure that out and get your business licenses and uh, learn how to price your items, learn to find the best, cheapest suppliers, or maybe not always the cheap, but the best quality at the best price, um, then you can kind of start thinking about setting up your Etsy shop. Now, for some people, there's a couple of big guru helpers that train and they teach you how to launch a collection. For some items, doing a collection of several things and doing a big launch works great. And they really develop their branding and can start out that way very well. For other things, it doesn't work as well. If it's a custom made to order item and everything is made to order and custom personalized like what I sell, that doesn't work quite as well for me because it's a whole different type of product. It's not something that's ready to ship. So you have to look at that factor. If you're making kids clothing, you can do a kids clothing line and develop that for a launch, but you also are going to have to custom make it if you're making custom sizes. So you're going to have to incorporate the two. You're going to need to learn the ins and outs of Etsy, how to set up your listing, how to do photography. You're going to have to learn, how to do that. You're going to have to answer customer questions and be ready to communicate with customers and answer their questions constantly to get your brand going and get yourself seen. So there's a lot of those kinds of things to it. So if you feel like you're ready to do all of those things, and you say to yourself, yep, I really like to make this craft, I'm a good artist and I'm good at doing glassware or pottery or painting, and so I want to get my products out there, then it's the thing for you. It's a good opportunity. I always tell people, if you have a craft that you make, something that you're good at and you're passionate about, you can learn to sell it online and you can make full-time money with it online. You just have to be willing to put the work in. And in order to do that, you have to learn about SEO and learn about the packaging and learn how to manage things for your taxes. So there's a lot more to it than just throwing up items. The good news is there's a lot of people like me that are out here to help you learn the basics. Even just to how to edit listings and do bulk edits so that it's quicker to do, or how to put the listing up, how to get your photography so it looks the best, how to pick good keywords and make your titles the best it can be so you get in front of the right customers. The good news for you is there are people to help you with that. When I started years ago, there wasn't. It was a learn on your own kind of thing, and now there's a lot of people to help you. I have a Facebook group that's set up specifically for that. There's a few other people that have really good Facebook groups that are set up for that. Then there's some that are not so great at that. And there's some sellers that are, or some coaching sellers that are not that great and that I don't put much thought into because I don't really trust them because I've taken a look at their shops. So I always tell people, make sure that you look at who you're trusting with to get your information from, and that they are proven sellers, that they have proven how to make it work on Etsy and make money. Because there are coaches that you'll find on Etsy that you pay to help you, and they can't even sell anything, a tangible item themselves. They don't know how. They're just out to get your money. And so you have to be careful with that and look for good groups. But there's a lot of good groups out there, and there's a lot of good coaches out there. And if you get in with the right one, You learn the ups, the ins and outs of Etsy, and you can make good money, and you can get your shop set up and start making money right away. Uh, you won't make money right away if you only put 4 or 5 items up, but if you do it right, I've taken a shop and started getting sales within 2 weeks. But there is a trick to it to learn, which I can't get into that in this video, but I do have other videos that help with that. So, when you're thinking about it, first pick your product. Second, are you passionate about that product? Third, are you good at making it? Do you make it good? And have you had, people interested in it locally and sold it at local sales enough that you feel comfortable with trying to make this and sell it online? And then start thinking about your branding, what you want your business name to be, your branding for this, your packaging, getting your business license. It's not that hard to go local and get that, get everything set up the way you need to, and start on making some products for samples first to get your photography, because before you ever list item 1, you need samples made, and you need good photography, or your items are never going to sell. So that's where you start at. Getting yourself in a good group, watch a lot of good videos on how to learn SEO, how to make your titles up, but get your samples and get your photographs first. And I would not start with any less than 20 items to start with. My last shop that I opened, I listed 100 items in about the first week. I've done this before. I knew what my titles needed to be, and I knew what my target market was, and I knew what my competition was. So that's how I knew how much I needed to get started. So if you're really serious, check out the YouTube channel. Look for the video. I'll put a link in here that takes you to how to start with your item and how to start setting up your shop. How to go about researching the product you're going to sell so that you can get started off on the right foot. The best way to start making money early is to start out on the right foot with the right information, rather than just start throwing things up random. Because what happens to the shops that throw things up randomly and put 4 or 5 up and sit back is, in a month or two, they're still sitting back waiting for a miracle, and nothing's happened, and they don't know why it is. They haven't sold anything yet, and they're getting disappointed and frustrated. And what they find out when they get in some groups is they got to start over and redo their listings and make it right. So if you're going to make this a serious thing, start out the right way, get your information, get your ducks in a row first, and then start listing. And if you're ready to do that, I'll put a link in here. You can get 40 free listings to help you start out for free, and try it out. Watch some of the videos that I have and some that Renee Christensen has and Starla Moore has, and get up there and start figuring it out. So once you take the plunge, you know where you're going with it. I hope this video gives you a little bit of information. I'm going to put a link here for a couple of things that you can click down below to get in a couple of good groups and learn a few things, and to the videos that help you learn how to start out with your item product and where you go from there. We will check with y'all later.